Let's make some galaxy coasters. These are my translucent colors, and here I have some diluted white paint that I'm just flicking into my molds for some stars. We'll see how this works out. I haven't done it this way before. The stars are dry, and there looks to be some dirt in my molds, but it's just glitter from another project that floated in that I was too lazy to clean out. So I have mixed up some premium FX epoxy from Countertop Epoxy, and I am putting some Ranger ink black alcohol ink into this. It's kind of old and crusty, so I just mix it up in hopes that I can get the chunks out of it. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the chunks out, and I didn't want to waste the resin. So I just poured it into my mold, and I hope that the next couple pours would kind of disperse it enough to the point where it's not super noticeable. So I found another black, and then I'm putting some Hyper Hollow into it, stirring it up. Hyper Hollows from Solar Color Dust. I'm looking for this black to be transparent, and I'm not so sure that it is right here. Also, my camera likes to not adjust its focus, so I have to stop and do that myself, which is frustrating. Anywho, I'm just mixing up more black and pouring it in until I have about 3/4 of my coaster mold filled. Slowly but surely, we are getting there. I try to add in a little bit more clear because what we're going to want to do is take these translucent colors I have in my cups and mix them with some clear resin. I can't talk. Stir it up. I wanted these to be on the thicker side, so I let my resin sit for a little bit, and I hope that once I pour it into the black that I have in the coaster molds, the translucent colors will kind of drop and give hopefully a neat effect. I have no idea if this is going to work. I used to do a lot of things like this, then I kind of steered away from it. I saw these round coaster molds sitting in a corner a couple weeks ago, and I was like, why don't I use these? They're perfect. So I'm trying to put them to use. Now I'm just going to take the translucents and drag them across the top of the black I've poured. I have purple and blue and green and red, and these are all from Countertop Epoxy. I'm not exactly sure what they're called now since Forizzle merged with Countertop, but you should be able to figure it out. It's pretty straightforward on their website. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll figure it out for you. I'm just putting these down rather sporadically. I realized maybe I wasn't dropping my resin from a high enough point where it will have enough impact and sink down. So, yeah, I don't know. I just keep pouring stuff on top and hopefully something happens. I had black left over, so I said, let's use that black. So we're using that black. They kind of look fun on this side. I guess if the top sucks, I can make something happen here. I'm just trying to use up all of the resin I have in my cups so I don't waste anything. Doing some drops from higher points in hopes that everything sinks down. If it doesn't, I'll be a little sad, but I will recover. Spritzing it with alcohol. That always does fun things. Popping bubbles. Cleaning off the edges because I overfilled my molds, and nothing in my work area is level at this point. I need new tables, or I need to take a sander to my tables to reestablish some flat surface. I'm sorry, this isn't very exciting. I should have sped this up, but I'm not going to because I don't want to redo these voiceovers. Oopsies. Time to demold. Since I poured my resin pretty hot and these coasters are a little bit on the thicker side, these cured in like an hour and a half, which isn't always the best, but I know my resin well enough where I know that I can push the limits with it, and I'm not going to get any imperfections from exothermic reactions. The back's kind of indented a little bit, but I will be sanding the backs, and if anything had happened on the top, I'm going to be doing a top coat, so I did that kind of strategically, honestly. If you're not familiar with your product, then I wouldn't recommend it. And sorry about my hands. This is how I look on a typical work day. Anyway, let's talk about the actual coasters. I love them, which isn't something I always say if you know me, but I'm really happy with how these turned out. I think that I would like to tone back the stars a little bit, but other than that, I'm impressed. The next step is taking a trip to the sanding belt to get the backs of the coasters level and also do a quick sand on the top just so the top coat will adhere to it a little bit better. It's got something to stick to. I decided to mix a color shifting pigment into this top coat, and I was a little bit disappointed when I started to pour and realized how green it was. I put a bit too much in, but we're just gonna roll with it. Once the top coats have cured, I use my heat gun to remove the tape I put on the back. Sorry about this weird angle. I just laid 3 pieces of tape on the back and then trimmed the excess with an X-Acto blade. Once the tape is removed, I use a sanding block to get rid of any sharp or rough spots on those edges that might have been left over. After that, I'm going to use my dirty leg to put on the backs of the coasters. And look at my sock and sandal combo down there on the floor. Real cute. Here is the completed set. I hope you enjoyed this process and learned a thing or two. That's why I do these. Let me know what you think about these. And here is something.